What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we have a ban list prediction. We kind of now know the date that we're going to see our first restriction list of the new year. So I kind of figured it would be a good time to talk about possible restrictions that might lead into something better, right? So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. Now, boys and girls, this was something very interesting to me, and we weren't expecting China to announce the restriction list, but apparently they couldn't wait to make this announcement, so they decided to be the first. So why not? Well, at this point in time, normally it doesn't end up being on the 16th, but I mean, it's a way of announcing it, right? During Worlds is a good time to announce restriction lists, especially if you don't know what decks are going to be topping, what's crazy shenanigans, but you know, information does come up. What I did find out was very interestingly that people were asking, is China even on the same restriction? Yes, actually, surprisingly around the same time, they took up the same exact restriction as us because they were kind of catching up pretty quickly to us. So they just figured mirror our restriction list as evenly as possible. So again, we kind of have the Uku hit, the Louis hit, we had Hammer Spark hit, we had Awaken of the Golden Knight. They kind of just slowed down the Magna X shenanigans. Numai X antibody plus the Louis hit and the Uku hit automatically killed off the Nume deck out of existence. Then you had TK. Then you have Gabumon coming unrestricted, which was pretty interesting enough, right? Kind of really good that they did hit TK because Diminumon would have probably dominated a lot more if this thing was at a full play set. So keeping that in mind, something to keep an eye out. And like Sio and Co being able to spam and get turns back was a definite way of slowing things down as well. Pokemon, we were already there. Apocalypse was our big one once BT 15 happened, you know, EX5 Garu, you know, Anubismon EX5, you know, things like this do come up from time to time and lead into these things that need to be hit eventually, right? So stuff like that, you know, even unrestricting like Savior Huck and Tommy were vital importance. This card's been on the list since forever. You know, Impmons, you have Were Garu, Grand Kawagamon. You know, this card's been on here forever as well, since April 1st. Greymon X, you know, Calling from Darkness at 1, Sunrise Buster, Doru Gray, you know, Shoutmon ×4. Some players are saying, unrestrict this now. No, we're not doing that. You have like Jet Sylphie. And then you have Mega Digimon Fusion being the only banned card, Reinforced Mem Boost, Ice Wall, you know, things that kind of needed to happen, like Argo, Hidden Potential Discovers. Stuff like this do need to happen from time to time to kind of just live up the game and give a better feeling for it. And it was good to know that China's on the same page as us when it came down to the restriction list, because a lot of players were questioning, is it just going to be a catch-up list? No, will be a complete unification ban list, which again is going to lead into some stuff. So let's talk about it right now. We have a Gunimon as a possible target, but Coinsio has been a big problem across the board for a lot of players talking. Even though I love Galaxy Engine, and I will say in the back of my mind that I don't see the biggest problem with what it's doing, because again, we have other decks that kind of do it. But if you're going to be taking out Sio Co, there's going to be cards in later in the video that I think should be hit along with Sio and Co because of the power level. These tamers are extremely strong tamers that lead into the deck doing things that they weren't really intended to. You know, Co and Sio alone can let you free Digi-Evolution into megas that you weren't really intending to do so. And like, you do have like a Gunimon here that just does what it wants. The reason why Aguni's on here promo wise, and I think this is just so that we can finally get Red Hybrid off the bloody freaking Ancient Greymon play. Yes, it's been a consistent way of playing the deck for so long, but I feel like we need to finally evolve the deck further. You know, I love that we've been on the same kind of strat, but again, nobody's going to play the new Emperor Greymon as long as Ancient Greymon is in the format. I mean, no one's going to develop or evolve the deck or try to make it better without having some force of hand. So, and again, the deck evolved even further from being just normal ancient Greymon to now ancient birds. Now, with this in mind, to keep him into this thought process, I think it's just time to let a Agunimon get down to 1. It'll eliminate this bird ancient hybrid, you know, that came up, but also lead into this, you know, maybe finally having ancient Greymon go to rest for a bit. And again, these are just decks that kind of overstayed their welcome. And again, if you're going to have them sell product in the future, you're going to have to get players off these decks to kind of just evolve and change up the meta, right? Right. So another thing to take in consideration is blue as well. So if you don't hit Scion Co, which I can understand completely, you know, you do have something to do with Mirage, right? I mean, either you restrict Mirage down to 1 because the blue based, yes, is the, you know, Blue Galaxy is a little bit annoying because Mirage Galga exists, and as long as Mirage exists, you're just going to be dealing with a lot of threats, right? So, well, how do you fix against this kind of threats in the long term? You know, Mirage has been a deck for far too long. You know, you have the Galaxy one, you have the regular Mirage, and they're all just really powerhouses because the fact is they basically punish the main way of doing the game, right? You need to search, you need to get your pieces. Well, I can't have my consistency as long as Mirage is up because Mirage is going to take my turn. And that is a lot of players to turn and frustration because sometimes you can't out the thing. And if there's 2 Mirages, GG's good luck. But, you know, there's ways of kind of hitting another way. Is either you restrict this or you kind of just take the Gogamamon out of the Galgamon out of the equation. This would also hit the Galaxy deck in a way. So if you kind of just do this instead of the Scion Co, this might actually weaken the deck a little bit better, and it hits kind of 2 decks in another way. And or you just hit Mirage and Galgamon here, and it leads that, you know, the Galaxy deck still keeps the Scion Co at full power, but the blue base kind of gets a lot weaker. So, and that should keep players off because even at best, the red base is strong, but it does have its weaknesses at its heart. Now, again, this was a deck that Bandai has a big thing against loop decks, right? We've seen it with the Scion Co, that the blue one, when it was doing some crazy shenanigans, so they created a pair band that wouldn't steal turns and stuff like that. Talmon Ace creates this annoying thing with ruin mode that leads into just spamming a wide board, and you just have these ruin modes that go and attack, blow up, you know, making these boards, you know, minus 10k, where decks can't even just handle that in some circumstances. So I think maybe it's time to actually hit, you know, I know it just came out for us, but JP's been dealing this for months. And to be honest with you, yeah, it weakened down a little bit, but if you're hitting other strong decks down in any capacity, Talmon Ace starts falling off. Well, doesn't fall off, it starts growing in strength, and you know, you don't want to have this where this deck can lead to being some crazy shenanigans. So I kind of feel like there's a kind of 2 ways of going about it. Either you get rid of you bring down Digievolution plugin S down to 1, and that might be enough of a hit to slow it down just a bit, not enough to kind of just kill the deck. Or you hit Talmon Ace and, you know, they have to become creative, which we've seen players get creative. You know, Talmon Ace now not being as cheap as the regular counterpart, and you know, players will adapt, and you just play out the old Talmon stuff, the level 5s that you had it before, and now you just play it as more of a Sukuyamon build, which again, nothing wrong with that. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to players adapting and learning what they need to do. So another big thing I think should happen, and this should probably happen, since we hit Hammer Spark down to 1, I think across the board, Jack Raid needs to go down to 1, Gravity Crush needs to go down to 1, and Blinding Ray go down to 1. I think across the board, they are great cards, and the drawback is very minuscule at best. I think Jack Raid is on more of a power level of Hammer Spark, if not better. The later the game goes, the Jack Raid gets better, and it shows more consistency in, you know, Purple Hybrid. And this would be a small hit to Purple Hybrid, so they can't just use Jack Raid spamming just to continue their plays, right? But I also think Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray are cards that have been around for a long period of time that just think that you just bring them down, get them hit so that eventually they don't just break a future deck, right? Again, this is just problem solving before a problem can lead to being into existence. You know, Gravity Crush, if you don't kill your opponent right away, you know, it's fine, right? They gain an extra 2 memory at the end of the turn. Well, again, if you just put them to 1 and they have the mem setter, you put them to 3, did it really matter you just losing the 2 memory? No. You know, Blinding Ray, trash the top card of security set, gain 2 memory. We've found out that, you know, you'll gain the memory even if you don't trash anything. So, like, at the end of the day, I think, you know, and with Blinding Ray being an option for, you know, Magnamon, X Antibody, I think it's just good to relieve the problem where, you know, is. I think just bringing it down will just make it better for future. Now, again, a lot of people are saying Shoto Mother pair ban, which is not a bad thing. I think, though, it hasn't really been a problem over here or even in major events long term. Eventually, there might be a deck that comes out and then Mother Shoto just becomes that naturally big demon. So I think at the end of the day, a pair ban might be something they might be considering. I don't know. It just seems like the deck isn't doing enough for it to justify them to even radar it. They were looking at it before just in case because it was an unintentional byproduct. So at the end of the day, I don't think this won't get hit just because there's not enough data for it to prove that it's that much of a monster. Now, Duskmon Volgra, most likely something's going to get hit from Purple Hybrid. It just has the most top ratings for a bit now. Data wise shows that it is a very tier 1 deck, and the evolution and way the deck plays out is just really much a problem at the end of the day for a lot of lists. I mean, there's not many outs you can do. Again, aces were a vital pivotal strategy, and now Duskmon changes that out of the question. You know, Volgra being able to mill your opponent out, then you can just do the Apocalypse shenanigans, or Bielstar, or you just, you know, rush them dead. You know, all these things add up and just lead into these moments that you weren't just ready for. So I think it's just something to think about. And if anything, I would say Volgra if you want to slightly hit the deck, as long as you hit Jack Raid, and then, you know, or you just go Duskmon just if you want to literally kill the deck out. Now, again, Fenrilooga Takamazuchi is another deck that is very powerful. I think it fades off into darkness a little bit if, you know, the conditions are right? Purple Hybrid starts fading out of the meta. Whew. And Balmon, you know, then Takamazuchi slows down a tad bit. But again, high roll is high roll. Takamazuchi is going to clear out, and they just built a new Takamazuchi deck. No one's going to touch that deck at all. So at the end of the day, it comes down, either you hit Balmon, that will slow down the non-once per turn. Yes, you gain memory, shenanigans. But again, once you get into Fenrilooga, you don't give a flying rats as long as you didn't pass them to 3. What are you doing then? Balmon's just going to do Balmon things. You know, coming into that fray and mentality that, oh yeah, that's not bad if you don't see all your pieces, you don't combo off. That's not how you ever design games. I think Balmon should have been made once per turn, and it would have been fine. It would have let players plan and strategize better with their deck instead of just getting free value. Again, you can either hit Takamazuchi and keep the Balmon in, or you hit Balmon and you leave Takamazuchi in. You know, it just one of those double negatives that just one has to go without the other. Probably won't see any hit in general. They might not be looking at this on the radar, but Takamazuchi with Balmon has been topping even in Japan's higher events, so it's just something to think about. Now, again, this is stuff that I think, is preventative measures. I think Davis and Ken, if you're going to hit a lot of tier 1 decks, I don't want to see blue-green Imperial Dramon just come back full strength, start swinging. I've always said this before, if you're going to hit things, you shouldn't allow decks that, you know, are just hovering under the radar just a tad bit to just immediately go back to tier 1, right? You know, green, blue, Imperial Dramon move down just a tad bit into tier 2, and then all of a sudden this restriction list could lead to being a tier 1 again. So, and then people are going to complain, you know, that it's going to lead up to be the same shenanigans. I think hitting Davis and Ken is just a good way of, you know, keeping the deck in check. Yes, I do think being able to play, you know, searchers for free is never the answer, in my opinion. You should never have a card this strong in a format, being able to go like, oh yeah, I'm just always going to have a free search as long as this thing comes in and out. And then jogger singing all the way up. You know, that leads into some game designs that are a big problem. And I think Davis and Ken is just one of those things like, you know, Ko and Sayo, the red, you know, Galaxy shenanigans. I think if you're going to balance things out, you hit these strong tamers. There's just not enough removal to justify it. Analog Youth, this is just to slow down purple decks, to be honest with you. I don't see Analog Youth getting hit. This is just a possibility, hit it, you know, just to eliminate the abusiveness of Analog Youth at the end of the day, right? Now, will they? Probably not. But it's just something to think about at the end of the day. Now, again, you might be wondering, why do I have Marcus on BT12 alert? So I think with the new, you know, Shine Greymon shenanigans, I think it's time just to restrict this Marcus down. I think just going from having this thing be able to free evolve stuff, it is proven time and time again, this Marcus is just a bully and a half to deal with. This thing gets you into things that you shouldn't be getting into. You know, free evolve, yes, I get that you need to have the Marcus on board and stuff like that. The same rules apply for Sayo and Ko though. You know, free evolve skips evolutions. Yeah, it's not as free of a top end shenanigans, but at the same time, Marcus is doing what, you know, Sayo Ko is doing. You know, free evolve, you know, is a little strong. So at times I feel like we do need to start thinking about hitting problem childs and preventing them. And I think Marcus is just good to just get out of the way for BT21. Now, again, I think finally we could give Greymon X Antibody off the list at this point. To be honest with you, I don't see it as a broken card anymore at this point. And it's just going to lead into just a better Greymon meta where Greymon can just finally breathe again. But again, you do have to worry about people might switch back to get back into the shenanigans that they were doing with, you know, Shine Greymon. So it's just one of those combinations that you have to really think about. Is it worth having it back in the format or not? We'll have to see. But I think Greymon X has served its jail sentence long enough and has been a good boy. I think it's time to let him free. What do you guys think? Now, again, you could all disagree with me on any of my picks. Let me know down in the comments what do you think. I felt I was very justified and I wasn't like salty about any of these cards and decks. I think there was reasons for yes hit, reason for no, but all in all, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the list. Let me know down in the comments what you would pick. Until the next time, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.